I have dedicated my professional career to the study and control of arthropods.
Okay. Got yourself a waitress.
All right. Got a friend, too. Ernie's still alive, so she probably helped him through the news of his son's death. And she makes it as a novelist. She's got a nice house in Carmel with an incredible ocean view.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Oh boy. So, today I'm going to talk something a little bit different than I normally do. I want to talk a bit about politics, and this is only because this whole choosing Sarah Palin as the VP candidate thing has kind of got me a little wound up. I live in Alaska. Sarah is our governor here. And so, not that it gives me any more insight, but, possibly more than being able to see Russia from my house. I wanted to talk about that, actually, specifically. There's been a lot of media attention brought up to that, about her comments, and actually probably more of the spin that's being put on that whole idea, that somehow being adjacent to Russia gives her foreign policy experience. And when I heard that, one of the things about it that kind of irked me is isn't how ridiculous the claim is, but how poorly done that claim is. In the sense, okay, I hope I can make sense. My mind works in odd ways. I apologize for that. But one of the things that, when you're filling out a resume, early in your work career, and you don't quite know, like you're trying to go for a job that's a little bit exceeds your capabilities. You're maybe right on the border of it, but you sort of want to lump yourself into a next higher up category. So you look back at your work experience and you try to find things that you can fudge this way or that way a little bit to make it, you say your McDonald's job becomes, a food supply customer relations technician or something like that. You come up with some kind of sometimes crazy things to make your job seem a little bit more beefed up than it might be. And that's definitely what I'm sure all candidates are doing that to a certain extent when they talk about whether it be the economy or whatever else they're talking about. They want to present themselves to the public as having a little bit more experience than they might actually have in certain areas. And that's not to cut down anybody's experience where they do have it. I'm not trying to do that. But I'm talking about this foreign policy as it relates to being governor of Alaska. And I thought, when I heard this, the thing about it that I thought was really unfortunate is that if I were working for the Republican National Committee, and I'm not, but if for some reason, I don't know, I suffered a major car accident, suffered brain damage, and changed my party affiliation to Republican. Sorry, that's mean. I apologize. I have a lot of friends that are Republicans. I'm not knocking the party. That was a joke. But if I were to somehow, for whatever reason, switch parties and start working for them, and somebody gave me this. Here's Sarah Palin's experience as governor and past experience as mayor of Wasilla. Can you spin this into foreign policy experience? Can you do that for us? And I would look at it and I'd go, well, one possibility, proximity to Russia. No, that doesn't make any sense. As others have pointed out, every single person in the lower 48 then can claim foreign policy experience, because even more than Sarah, because Canada and Mexico border the United States. So therefore, you guys have much, much more foreign policy experience than our governor, who actually only physically borders one nation. Russia being extremely remote. And by the way, where you can see Russia from Alaska is one point. I think it's Little Diamond Island. I believe it's what it's called. Anyway, believe me, geography is not my strong point. Anyway, it's out on the Aleutian tip of the Aleutians, and I believe that's where it's at. Even I might even be wrong on that. Anyway, It's a long way out, and very, very few people, very few residents of Alaska ever have an opportunity to go there. My father-in-law actually went and saw where you could see Russia on a clear day. You can see Russian territory on a clear day, which is another island nearby. But anyway, all of that aside, I would look at that and I'd say, no, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense at all. So me, as speechwriter for the Republicans, what I would do is I would look at it and I go, wait a second, Sarah Palin's governor of Alaska. As governor of Alaska, and she has been highly involved in working with our extraction resources, mining, logging, fishing, these kinds of things. Obviously, anybody who works in state government here has some dealings with those. We also, in our state, we have a thing with ANCSA, the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, split up major portions of this state into zones held by native corporations, which are, as you might know, the indigenous populations of this continent, are at least in the United States, are broken up into what we call nations within nations. So if you deal in a government policy with any kind of extraction industry, you're at some point in time going to be running into native corporations, dealing with negotiations with who owns different portions of the lands, dealing with different kinds of mining activities, different kinds of, all of these things are dealing heavily with native corporations. So if they were going to spin that into foreign policy experience, I would have gone with as governor of Alaska, I work with many different native corporations, Inupiat, Yupik, Athabaskan, Tlingit, run corporations. These native corporations, these powerful nations that are very, very important players in our state government, and dealing with them is very much equivalent to working with foreign nations. Some of the same issues apply. Yes, they're United States citizens, but they're also sovereign nations on their own. And so that's something that they could have gone with, and they chose not to. So I think, well, either they didn't think of that, which I think probably is the case. I kind of suspect it just didn't occur, that maybe that would be a better spin. Of course, the other possibility is that by doing that, they would be admitting that possibly the indigenous peoples of this continent do have some right to being called a nation of their own. And by doing that, they might have done a cost-benefit analysis. Do we acknowledge the natives, or do we lose our small but fairly vocal and powerful, white power base? They might look at it and go, we can't, we're spending, we have on the back burner of this campaign, we've got this little, hatred of brown people kind of, sitting on the back burner, simmering at this point in time. We want to keep that just simmering during this entire election. And by, if we, bring that to the front, we might scorch it a little bit and might lose some of our white power base. We want to, somebody may have done that analysis and kind of looked at that, if that makes any sense. I hope it does. Anyway, that's my opinion. Again, I'm not in any way affiliated with the Republican National Committee, nor would I, if for whatever reason after this, as far as I know, nobody has said what I've just said yet about the indigenous population here, about the native people of Alaska being nations and having to deal with them. So if after this point in time, okay, if after September 27th, 2008, you hear this used in a commercial or in a speech or anything like that, you can say they stole that from L-Man. They stole that from a Democrat. That's who knows. So anyway, Obama '08, please. If you are a supporter, get out and vote. If you know people who are on the fence, please, please, please. We need this change in this country. It is real change. There's a million reasons why we desperately, desperately have to have this. So get out and vote, please. Obama '08 again. Thank you.